Good morning.
Good morning and welcome to Talking Politics.
This morning we'll start with what the Thai media refer to as a crisis of confidence in independent bodies. But first of all, the reason why we need to have independent bodies like the National Anti-Corruption Commission is because we believe that these organizations should play a role in holding politicians and public office holders accountable. But the problem we're having now is that these organizations themselves are having credibility problem, and a very serious one too.
Yeah, we're going to talk about the National Anti-Corruption Commission and its handling of allegations that the former Transport Minister Saksayam Chidchob intentionally filed a false asset declaration.
You may be familiar with the family name Chidchob, right?
Yes.
Now, because we are talking about Kun Saksayam, who is the younger brother of Nevin Chidchob, the political patriarch of the ruling Phumchai Thai party. The Chidchob family, as we all know, that is a big family based in Buriram province in the northeastern Thailand. And the family has been regarded as one of the most influential forces in Thai politics.
Nevin's actually got a nickname, Headmaster, Koo Yai. So yeah, he's the big boss. But to understand the latest criticism of the NACC, I think it helps to go back 2 years. We're going to start in January 2024 when the Constitutional Court ruled that Saksayam be removed as Transport Minister after finding that he had used nominees to hold shares in Burijaran Construction Limited Partnership on his behalf. And he was subsequently barred from holding ministerial office for 2 years. But the NACC, however, reached a very different conclusion.
And what happened?
Well, last week, the NACC issued a statement and it explained its decision to dismiss the petition, saying that Saksayam had no intent to conceal his shareholdings. And it says that the omission stemmed from a misunderstanding.
Now, the NACC claimed that there was no evidence to suggest that Saksayam was involved in the company's operation after the share transfer, or that he had a conflict of interest in the state procurements with the company. So that's the bottom line of the decision of the Anti-Corruption Commission to try to explain why it decided to dismiss the case against Saksayam.
Yeah, in fact, it also stressed that the ruling was separate from the Constitutional Court. So according to the Commission, the court ruled on qualifications of the minister. But the NACC, in fact, examined the intent. So they were treating it as two separate issues.
So the NACC believe that it has come up with a very good explanation.
Yeah, but people are not.
But very few people buy that explanation.
Yeah.
And instead, the explanation offered by NACC has prompted an unusual alliance between MPs of the People's Party, which is the biggest opposition party, and a group of so-called independent senators. Who
as
are now,
opposed to the Blue House senators.
That's right. Who are now seeking an independent investigation into the decision of NACC on this issue.
Yeah, and you know what? Saksayam's case is not the only one being cited. Critics have also revived the case of General Pravit Wongsuwan, who was accused of failing to declare a collection of luxury watches and jewelry. A case that the NACC ultimately dismissed back then as well. And, you know, by contrast, the NACC chose to pursue legal action against the former Move Forward Party MPs who supported the amendment of Article 112 or the lèse majesté law. And to many observers, those contrasting decisions have fueled accusations of preferential treatment.
So the parliamentary petition could be sent by the House Speaker to the Supreme Court, which would then decide whether or not to appoint a special panel to investigate the commission. And some Thai media outlets have reported that if wrongdoing is ultimately proven, commissioners could face prison terms of up to 10 years, if they are found guilty. But
That's
it's
a
not
long way
a long
off,
shot.
but
I mean,
yeah, exactly. So there's also a separate petition that is being filed by an activist, Kun Sisuwan Janya. Now, he's asking the ombudsman to refer the matter back to the Constitutional Court. So his argument was that the National Anti-Corruption Commission's position may conflict the Constitutional Court's, the principle that the court rulings are final and has to be binding on all state institutions.
Now, the problem is that the latest incident has highlighted what is seen as a broader crisis of confidence in Thailand's independent institutions, which are supposed to hold politicians, public office holders accountable. But they are now being questioned itself by the public.
It's not just the NACC, actually. Other agencies, including the Election Commission of Thailand, are approved by the Senate. So it brings the attention once again to the long-standing open secret of political influence flowing from the Blue House in Buriram.
All right, so last week the spotlight was also on the People's Party, the biggest opposition party, in connection with the lèse majesté case against 10 of its MPs. Now, the party, in fact, was preparing for the worst, but what happened was just a close shave, at least for now.
Yeah, I mean, the Supreme Court last week took up the lèse majesté case against a group of MPs of the People's Party for consideration as recommended by the National Anti-Corruption Commission. Here we go again. Back to what we just said. But it stopped short of suspending them from performing active legislative duties, as many has feared. So for now, the country's biggest opposition can heave a big sigh of relief. But it knows that the worst is still not yet over.
The National Anti-Corruption Commission has found the 10 MPs who now make up the top-tier leadership of the People's Party guilty of serious ethical breach and attempting to undermine the country's system of constitutional monarchy by proposing a bill to amend the lèse majesté law, better known as Article 112, back in 2023. And the Commission submitted the case against the MPs to the Criminal Division for political office holders of the Supreme Court for them to be penalized. And if found guilty, these people face a political ban for life. That means that they will not be allowed to run for offices for the rest of their life, if found guilty.
Yeah, it's going to greatly impact the party. Now, the Commission also recommended that the Supreme Court suspend the 10 MPs from active legislative duties pending a ruling. But the recommendation was not heeded.
And on that very same day, as the court was deliberating whether or not to take up the case, the parties began its 3-day party assembly to pick a new executive committee. I mean, 3 days of party assembly, quite time consuming, right? But they were having a sort of a crisis, so they needed a lot of time to debate their future course. Of course, the party anticipated the worst, right? Because if you judging from the media reports, there was nothing positive about what would happen to them. But as things turned out the way it did, and the party, of course, I mean, as it was expecting the worst, the party was said to be planning a new batch of leadership to replace those caught in the Article 112. I mean, 10 of them that stood to face the possibility of being banned or being suspended from duties, right? And even a major shake-up to the point of having the party leader, Kun Nattapong Ringpanyavut, replaced, had been reportedly contemplated in anticipation of the court's action.
So, but you know what? At the end of the day, the party decided to settle only for a partial leadership change, as the 10 MPs in question, who included its leaders Nattapong, can still continue their legislative role. So, nevertheless, political observers believe that while the party is safe for now, it still needs to do a lot of soul searching before it loses more political steam.
A lot has happened to the party over the past few years, right? And as we all know, the People's Party was unexpectedly edged out by Phumchai Thai Party in the recent general elections. And its performance as the leading opposition party is also being increasingly questioned. And a political analyst points out that the party has yet to recover from its biggest blunder by supporting Phum Chai Thai leader Kun Anutin Charnvirakul as Prime Minister last September.
Yeah,
Remember
that was a painful one.
And many of the party supporters saw that as a big betrayal of the trust of the party, and many turned away from backing the party.
There's another analyst who says that by boasting its ethical credentials and portraying itself as being reformed-oriented, the People's Party has struck the right chord with large segments of the voters. But at the same time, its holier-than-thou attitude doesn't help in forming political alliances with it, which is necessary if the party needs a broad-based support for its political agenda. So in short, I think the People's Party is politically isolated. I mean, it doesn't have a political allies or friends even within the opposition bloc itself.
There's some political analysts have suggested that the party, the People's Party, try to be more pragmatic and tone down its reform-oriented platform and anti-establishment ideals. But so far, it doesn't look like the party is ready to change course easily. Reappointed as party leader, Nattapong declared that his party is against the patronage system, which he said is the main cause of Thailand's political ills.
I mean, that's the main selling point of the party. I mean, if it doesn't pursue that course, then it's a bit too late to...
And this is what he said, Kun Nattapong. We don't do handouts. We don't want people to feel indebted to politicians.
Yeah.
He was kind of taking a broadside at the traditional political parties, which tend to please their voters, their constituents, with hands out and with all goodies.
Stuff. Yeah. Well, the only significant change in the leadership during the party's General Assembly over the weekend was the appointment of a new Secretary General. So they now have Pichan Chawapattanawong, who is an electrical engineer and a former affluent businessman who was chosen for the post with the hope that he can re-energize the party.
No, the names of Kun Pichan may not be familiar to most people anyway. But in fact, he plays a very important role, behind the scenes role in the party, dating back to the days when it was known as the Future Forward Party, which was dissolved by the Constitutional Court in 2020. And political observers have noted that Kun Pichan, who is 48 years old, is a close confidant of Thanathornจึngruengruengkit, who is believed to be the de facto leader of the People's Party. And in Thai politics, you have to understand that the position of Secretary General is very important in most of the political parties. In many cases, he or she is even more powerful than the party leader because he or she controls the party's purse string. Of course, you know how important it is for someone to be able to control the purse string, right? And has a big say in major decisions of the party in its affairs.
So in this case, it only means that Thanathorn still wields a lot of influence in the party through his protege, Kun Pichan, right? And I mean, given the fact that the party leader, Nattapong himself, is closely allied with Thanathorn, I mean, it's not very difficult to imagine who really calls the shots in the party from this point on.
And most recently, Kun Thanathorn reaffirmed that the People's Party will continue to pursue its reformist platform and considers amending the constitution a political priority. Now back on the new party Secretary General Kun Pichan. He first gained serious media attention during the no-confidence debate against the Prayut government in 2022. This is very interesting. He alleged that at that time that authorities under Prayut's watch had used spyware to monitor political opponents. He made the allegation after a Thai human rights group and two international tech firms claimed that Pegasus, a highly sophisticated military-grade spyware, was used to hack phones of several Thai political activists and government critics.
Yeah, I mean, Pegasus was developed by an Israeli firm, and it was reported to have been used by governments to spy on journalists, activists, and dissidents in many countries. So in his response, Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha then strongly denied that his government used the spyware against its opponents, and he said that it would not have wasted budgets on the technology.
And in a move to signal its readiness to play a more aggressive role as the main opposition party, the People's Party has set up a so-called shadow cabinet to more effectively scrutinize government policies and to hold cabinet members accountable, while also trying to present itself as a government in waiting. But if you ask most of the political analysts these days as to how things stand for the People's Party, they seem to agree that for the party to be able to move from being a shadow cabinet to becoming a real cabinet is going to be a long shot.
It's going to take a lot of effort, yes. But in addition to the People's Party and the NACC, today on the program we're going to talk about the man himself, the man.
The man. And we haven't mentioned about him for quite some time
Yeah,
now.
he's been away for a while.
Right.
Coming back soon. We're talking about Mr. Thaksin Shinawatra, the former Prime Minister of Thailand, is back in the headlines this week because his family finally has started a countdown to his release on parole after having spent almost 8 months in high bars, I think. I mean, if things go according to schedule set by the parole board of the Justice Ministry, the former Prime Minister will be out of jail on May 11th. And Thaksin is now 76. He qualified for parole because of his old age and some underlying conditions like his health. And more importantly, he also has met most basic precondition for parole, that is having served 2/3 of his one-year jail term.
No, but we cannot say that Thaksin will be a totally free man even after leaving jail.
No?
He will still need to be bound by certain parole conditions. First of all, he will be required to wear an electronic monitoring device until his parole ends in September this year.
The anklets.
Anklets. And his movements will be restricted. He will be confined to his place of stay, which will be his own home, most likely on the Thonburi side of the city, where he once dictated major political decisions as the de facto leader of the Thai party, back to where he belongs.
The house with the big swimming pool.
Right. And like all other prisoners on parole, Thaksin will be required to periodically report to authorities of the corrections department to assure them that
I'm still here.
I'm still here and has been behaving well.
Right. So his daughter, former Prime Minister Paetongtarn, while welcoming her father's upcoming freedom, expressed disappointment that he will need to wear an electronic monitoring device. And here's what she said. She said, it was our understanding all along that because of his age, he would not be required to wear an electronic monitoring device, but he will make do with it. That's what she said.
She sounded quite bitter, knowing the fact that her father would be required to wear this device. And at one point, she mentioned that you need to take into consideration the fact that Thaksin, my father, is a former prime minister.
Yeah, it'd be a lot of inconvenience on living with a EM anklet for a while. But yeah, Thaksin, remember, he was sent to jail last September to serve a one-year prison term in connection with corruption charges against him. But he was a jail term, but Thaksin managed to avoid serving it before. I mean, he instead spent 6 months as a patient at the police hospital, claiming to be suffering from serious illness. But the Supreme Court later ruled that his hospital stay did not count towards his jail term and ordered him to be jailed.
And one big question, of course, is what plans does Thaksin have for himself after the end of his parole period? Will he become politically active again? His daughter, Kun Paetongtarn, the former Prime Minister, said after visiting him in late February that Thaksin, her father, planned to wash his hands off politics after his release. But few people are convinced.
Yeah, most political observers believe that Mr. Thaksin may lie low for a period of time while he is still on parole, but after being freed from all parole conditions, he is most likely to become politically active once again. I mean, Thaksin's influence in Pheu Thai party is not diminished even while behind bars. Sources in the party admitted that they expect the former prime minister to play an active role in helping revive the party, which suffered a serious setback in the last general elections.
No, after all, it's quite obvious that Pheu Thai party is still very much a family affair of the Shinawatra family. And Thaksin cannot allow it to slip away from the hands of his family. And before being put behind bars, Thaksin made no attempts to hide his influence in the party, dictating all his major decisions and policies. And of course, we still remember what Thaksin said when he was still in self-exile in Dubai before returning in 2023. He claimed back then that he wanted to come home only to be with his grandchildren and nothing more, vowing to shun all politics.
Yeah, I mean, I think we'll let you guess what Thaksin would do once he is a free man.
No, by the way, the legal problems for Thaksin are still not over, even after the end of the parole, right?
Yeah.
Last August, the criminal court acquitted him of lèse-majesté charges stemming from an interview he gave to a South Korean media outlet in 2015. But the public prosecutor has appealed the court's ruling. That means Thaksin will still be required to return to court again sooner or later.
Yeah.
But whether or not that will hold him back from an active political role is something remains to be seen.
Yeah, well, I think that's it for this week, isn't it? I mean, we've covered a lot of developments after 2 weeks away, but yeah, we're back for now. We hope you find it useful. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.
Okay, see you then.